I'm Rohan. I'm co-founder and CEO of Pocket Entertainment. We didn't start with Pocket Entertainment. We're building a next-generation entertainment platform which believes in democratizing content creation using AI across different formats. When we started 8 years back, we started with Pocket FM. Some of you might know what Pocket FM is. We've built the world's first audio entertainment platform, right? When you think about video, you have these bunch of video entertainment platforms from TikTok to Netflix, but no one really built anything in audio entertainment. And we found that gap in 2018 and pioneered a new entertainment format, which we called audio series. Think of it like a TV show in audio. That's what we built in Pocket FM. And interestingly, while we were building Pocket FM, and it's sort of like we realized that we are starting from scratch. Nothing has been built. It's a blank canvas, really, right? It's not like we get to learn from someone else's mistakes. And we redesigned all the content playbooks with AI. That's what we realized that, while we have scaled Pocket FM, we have redefined how content is created, how content is marketed, and how content is monetized and driven through AI. Of course, it didn't start with AI. We sort of evolved to that. And after building Pocket FM, we felt that these AI-driven playbooks that we have built for content generation, content identification, and content monetization need not be limited to just audio. And as a result, we evolved to Pocket Entertainment, where we have launched multiple formats from novels to comics, and we'll launch more formats in the future. Interestingly, if you think about how we started in India, and we are one of the first consumer apps which have expanded to US and now Europe from India. Just to give you a sort of a brief overview of where we are today, last year there were 100 billion minutes that were streamed last year. On an average, our users consume 120 minutes every day, 2 hours every day. We're at $250 million of revenue or ARR, and we have scaled from zero to $250 million in the last 2 years itself. And we're building a truly global entertainment platform from India. When we started Pocket FM, of course, again, as I said, there was literally nothing out there. It's not like there was content which we could have licensed and put on the platform, because if I'm starting a video platform, I can license movies and TV shows and put it on my platform. And we realized that there's such hard content problems in entertainment, which is how do you get high quality content on the platform? How do you predict blockbusters? All of us know all entertainment platforms need periodic blockbusters, otherwise, they don't grow. And we were very clear from day one that we are not media execs. We're not going to be like 10 people sitting in a room and deciding, okay, this show should work. We were against gatekeepers, and I'm vehemently against someone deciding if a show is good or not, whether it should be users who decide if a show is good or not. So we wanted to use technology to bridge this gap, to truly tell us, is this show good or not? And when I mean technology, I mean using technology, taking user inputs, and deciding if the show will do well or not. So that was sort of our mission from day one, that while we are building an entertainment business, we wanted to build an entertainment business with technology at its core. And there are a lot of these entertainment platforms which call themselves tech platforms, but at the end of the day, the content commissioning still happens through, your judgment versus truly tech. We built a version of, in Pocket FM's early days, we built a blockbuster engine, which can think of it like you have a pitch or you have an idea. It will make a pilot and test the pilot on social media, on the app, and we started seeing the engine predicting whether the show can truly become a blockbuster or not. And through that process, we got really good shows. We got shows like Saving Nora, Insta Millionaire, My Vampire System, which have till date, by the way, made over $40 million each. All of these shows have made $40 million each. And we got a lot of success. We grew pretty rapidly. But, but in 2023, we realized that while this process was good, but it still had a lot of challenges. And the challenges were predominantly the fact that there are so many writers who have great stories in their head. They have just amazing stories. But when it came to them writing a great audio story or audio series, it just didn't translate. Because I might have a great story, but I still have to write it out, have a really good episode structure. How do I plan out the story arcs? Should have a very, hooky opening, ends on a cliffhanger, all of those sort of nuts and bolts of writing. And we realized writers are struggling with that. That was one problem which we just couldn't solve at that point of time. The second problem was I might be a writer who has written a great story, but then again, I need to produce a high quality audio. I have to find a voice artist. I have to, pay them to record. I have to edit the audio file, add background music, add sound effects. It takes time. It's a different skill set from writing. And the third was if I have a great show in one language, to take it to a different language, it just takes a lot of effort. And these three problems we realized that these three problems are our rate limiter for growth. While we had scaled from almost 0 to 250 in $250 million in revenue in 2 years, we still realized this is a problem. And we were struggling to find an answer in 2022, 2023 because it still used to be human-led. Used to launch pilots. Pilots used to take 3 months, and then we used to get an output. And only writers who were able to truly find a voice artist used to work with us, or writers who are skilled or trained for the last 5 to 10 years in writing were only able to work with us. But again, that limited our pool of content, of writers. So in 2023, end of 2023, end of 2024, we realized AI was coming our way, and we had two options. Especially when you have a business which is 6, 7 years old and is doing well, you don't want to disturb it, right? You want to be like, okay, let it happen its own way. Don't change too much. But it was very clear to us that this is the time where we have to pivot to AI-led content, and we have to do it in 2024 itself, because as we scale, these problems sort of compound over time, and we might be too big to then steer the ship in a different direction. And 2024 we pivoted to AI and we realized that we can't have a small team working on the side in the company. We have to embrace it, make it our core, and just believe that we can ship world-class AI products which solve these problems. We're not building large language models. We are building on top of open source models and trying to fix real user problems which add value and not just for the sake of being cool. And we launched a few products in 2024 to solve that. The first product that we launched is Atlas. Atlas is one of the world's best co-pilot for writing fiction. And when I mean co-pilot, think of it like this. You're a solo writer writing an audio show, or you can write anything, not just an audio series. What are the challenges you face as a writer? You face that I have a great story, but again, I wrote an episode, but it's not coming out well. It doesn't have a great opening. It doesn't have a great ending. And you know what? Maybe the dialogue should be a bit more punchier. It seems pretty boring. Who is there for you to brainstorm with? You're a solo writer. It's not like you have a dialogue writer or editor and so on. We built Atlas as a co-pilot where imagine what will happen is that you have a story chat feature. I think the video is not working. But you have a story chat feature where imagine you're like, there's a model which understands the story really well, and you can chat with the model like, hey, this is what I'm going to write. How do I structure this story arc? How many episodes should this story arc be, right? And let's say you have writing a show where there's a war happening. How long should this story arc be given these inputs? That's one, which is a story chat feature. The second one was second use case is I've written an episode, But I don't know how to refine this. I want like 6 cliffhanger options. Can you give me 6 options of cliffhangers so that users are retained and they sort of move into the next episode? You can choose among the cliffhanger options given by the model. And the third, which is a really, really powerful one, if I've written a show in, let's say, Hindi, I want to localize that show for American audiences, for Tamil audiences, for German audiences. Is it even possible? And I know you might be thinking, why would a Hindi written show, like a show written in Hindi, work in US? We've actually proven the other way around. We have proven that a show which is some stories are universal. It doesn't matter, right? Where it originates from, as long as it's localized really well. I'm going to give you a very interesting data point from Pocket FM. There's a show called Saving Nora, and that's in the US, and in the Hindi version is Ek Ladki Ko Dekha Tha, and then there's other sort of Saving Nora versions in other languages. Saving Nora is the top grossing show in romance and drama in US, Mexico, UK, Germany, Spain, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada. It's the same story, but not translated. It's localized. What I mean by localized is not just changing names, places, but the family dynamics. The family dynamics in US is different than the family dynamics in India. The way you talk, the way you connect with someone, it just changes drastically. And we have proven that this works. So now what we're also providing our users an option to imagine just localize from Hindi. We have a writer, by the way, who's from Banaras, who has a show which has been localized for the American audiences, and it's doing well. So that's the power of AI, right? Imagine you're writing a story in one language, and it's there in all languages in the world. Another interesting insight, there are 83 languages which have more than 10 million speakers. Imagine content is only produced in roughly 5 to 10 languages because of ROI, and they're smaller languages, what will happen, right? So we believe that it's finally possible for content, for a piece of content to be available in all languages, personalized for your culture, your language. And that's what we are building. So there are 3 pieces to it. You can ideate, you can refine your story, and third, you can also localize. This is going to change the way, this is going to change entertainment, period. Because what used to happen earlier is that writers who had a great story were not able to produce a high-quality show because they didn't have the skill sets or coaching or training or mentorship to be able to produce a high-quality content. But now we have trained our models, and this is again built on open source models, and we have trained these models on our own data because we have minute-by-minute retention data of over around 70,000 shows. We also have strong feedback loops. For instance, if a model generates an output of an episode, and we'll give you 3 options, you can choose which one you like, which is an inherent feedback loop for the model to now learn. But to build Atlas, we have solved some really hard problems. We all know about hallucination that large language models have. Hallucinations can't work in fiction writing. You can't make a villain the hero all of a sudden after 100 episodes because you just didn't retain that context. We have solved long-form context through knowledge graph, through knowledge graph, where the relationships between entities, characters are retained in a separate database, which is built on top of these open source models. We have also built custom named entity recognition with fact-checking for stopping hallucinations. As a result, the final output that you get is already checked for any hallucination and fixed. So think of it like a layered output. An output is first given by the model, which is fine-tuned with our data, and there are multiple agents that work on top of it to fix hallucination, to make sure the context is right, and the most powerful things is we have built different agents for different pieces of storytelling. Pacing agent checks the pacing of the episode. Cliffhanger agent checks, is this good enough to retain users? The opening agent checks, when an episode starts, it should not be boring, it should be engaging. And of course, we have the localization model that is now trained for different languages. We're working on expanding Atlas to multiple languages. It's available in English, German, Spanish, French. We're working on Hindi and Tamil right now as well, where all of any writer in the world can have their content present in all languages, localized. That's a huge difference, just for our understanding. And if you look at the data, we have been working on this for the last, I would say, more 1.5 years. And every time we refine the model, on the graph that you see is the show retention, which is, show retention means that if a user, let's say 100 users start on the first episode, how many users reach 100 episodes, 200 episodes, and so on. And the graph on the bottom is where we didn't do any of these problem solving, which is long form context, agentic system for pacing, cliffhanger, checking hallucinations. And every time we've improved our model, the retentions have gone up. And as of now, the retention of AI shows is similar to our professionally generated content, which we used to do with human creators, human voice artists, and so on. And the error rates, we define, and we still do quality checks of our AI shows just to make sure it's not writing some random stuff. The error rates have dropped drastically with each and every iteration. We believe that in the next maybe 6 months to 12 months, we'll reach a point we might not even need quality checks. The AI itself will do a quality check and make sure that the quality is great. So this is Atlas, and we are rolling this out to the entire world in 2 months. As of now, Atlas is used by our 250K writers, which is our community of writers internally at Pocket FM. That was the first product we launched. The second product was AI Voice. We partnered with 11 labs on this. We worked deeply with them to be able to launch AI Voices on Pocket FM. And that's all the second problem we discussed. You have a great story, but again, how will you create an audio show? You still need a voice. So we launched AI Voices on the platform where any writer can just start writing this on the Copilot. And on the last step, when you've written an episode, you can choose amongst 50, 60 high-quality AI voices and edit it, add some background music itself on the app, and that's it. And your show gets published. We have seen over 50,000 AI shows being published in the last 6 to 9 months. 50,000. Just to put things in context, before AI Voice, we had 200 professionally generated content. That's it, 200 shows. Now we are 50,000 AI shows. And not just that, there's a strong product market fit from a writer standpoint, but even users have been adopting it. It's not like users are saying this is AI Voice and I won't listen to it. AI GC shows on the platform have already generated it's $5 million as of now, and it's growing 30% month on month. Although as a percentage of revenue, it's still 5 million out of 250 million, but it's growing 30% month on month. And again, I believe in the next 2 years, as AI voices keep improving, the writing models keep improving, this is going to be how the future looks like. Anyone in the world can write a high-quality audio show, can produce a high-quality audio show from their home without any formal training, just a great story, just creativity. Creativity is something which is very hard to replace. All of us debate what's going to happen with AI, but creativity is that one thing which is very hard to replace, is what we believe. So it's on the ecosystem, on how can you provide high-quality tools to writers to be able to produce professional generated content. So I think before I move on to the next slide, there's a strong opinion that we have, and it's sort of a philosophical one, that we believe that writers have been ignored for a very long time. They have to go to production houses and publishers and be like, please publish my book, please make my story into a movie. And it's usually connects, all of that biases that come in the way of gatekeepers deciding whether your story is good or not. In this new world of AI, if you can produce a high-quality show on your own, you don't need gatekeepers. Today, you can produce a high-quality audio show, a high-quality novel. We're going to talk about high-quality comics. And eventually, I'm pretty sure like the next maybe couple of years, like high-quality video as well. Now, as long as you have distribution platforms like Pocket, like YouTube, like others, you don't need to go to someone. If you have a great story, you can engage with your audience directly, and the power is going to shift towards writers and not these gatekeepers or middlemen in the years to come. So one of the third products that we have launched recently, as we have launched Pocket Toons, which is a webtoon or a comics platform. We believe that after audio, comics is going to be the next format to be disrupted with AI, and there's a strong reason behind it. If you look at the comic business or how a comic is created, it takes for an artist or a designer or a visual artist 1 week for only one episode. Because you have to draw, it's an illustration. The illustration and coloring of a comic takes 4-5 days sometimes. And it's expensive, it's time-taking. As a result, comics in the digital world have never flourished as such because it was restricted to a very limited set of production houses and comic creators. And I believe that with what we have figured out with Blaze, which is our comic studio, where what you need to do is just think of it, just you have to make a rough drawing. That's it, just a rough drawing. Our characters are trained on diffusion models. And just imagine you do a rough outline of what the comic panel should be, and it should be able to generate a comic panel. I think sort of like 20x sort of an output. And not just that, it's of course like 1/3 or 1/4 of the cost. So this is also a product which we're going to, again, use by our internal writers and creators. Over time, we're going to launch this to the world. But I strongly feel that we're living in an era where content creation, high-quality content creation is going to get democratized with AI, and we want Pocket Entertainment to be at the center of it while this happens. Yeah, thank you.